Hey homies, welcome to High Altitude Homesteading. My name's Rob and we're here in the kitchen to make some ginger kombucha. So I'm going to show you how we make our easy ginger kombucha here on our urban homestead. You're going to need some black tea, something to brew the tea in. So I just got this little cage thing, but you can use anything. You can use tea bags if you want, or whatever's cheapest. You're going to need a funnel. This is real important. You're going to need these bottles. So these bottles have little tops that lock. You can get them, wherever you buy things. But yeah, you're gonna need these bottles because the kombucha gets really carbonated, and if you don't have strong bottles, it can explode basically. I mean, you don't have to be afraid of it or anything like that. So again, to get a strong bottle. The funnel is optional, but it will help you to pour the kombucha in. So you're gonna want a funnel, clean funnel, and you're gonna need something to pour your kombucha into the bottle. So I just have this little pitcher here. Sugar, we use bone char free sugar. You don't have to, you can just use regular white sugar or whatever you can afford. You're gonna need a bowl to keep your SCOBY in once you take it out. So I'm doing a double batch today, so I have two of everything here. So if you see me using two things, that's because I'm doing two kombuchas, 2 rounds of kombucha. So you're gonna need a bowl, doesn't matter, metal, plastic, whatever. So 1 cup, 1 tablespoon, and 1 teaspoon, pretty easy there. And finally, you're gonna need your kombucha brew. So these are, again, I'm doing 2 batches, so I got 2 brews. I'll show you how we put the brew together later, because if this is your first time and you've just received a SCOBY in the mail or something like that, you're not actually gonna need most of these things for a couple weeks. You're gonna first have to get your brew going, and I'll show you how to do that when we get to it. So yeah, let's get started. Oh, again, you're gonna need a pot of water. Be regular tap water, doesn't matter. Hopefully it's clean. 4 dogs, lots of hair. So this is already boiled, or it's starting to boil. So you're gonna, again, I'm doing 2 batches, so I have a big pot, a lot of water. You don't need this big a pot. You just need enough water that's gonna fill your gallon jug here. The last thing you're gonna need is your gingers. My skin's right here. You can compost the skins, so don't throw those away. Anyways, you wanna cut these up pretty small, so they're gonna fit basically in the top of these bottles. All right, cool. So that is boiling, or starting to boil. We're gonna get our brews taken care of here. So you're gonna take your bowls and take the SCOBY out. So kombucha is all about, it's got the good probiotics in it, it's good gut bacteria. This stuff is super good for you. So basically you're gonna take your SCOBY, which you can buy online, get from a friend, whatever, however you procure your SCOBY. So your SCOBY is actually gonna grow an extra little part kind of on the top here. Here, let me just show you. So that's what the SCOBY, it looks like a big round hockey puck, and it's very slimy, and it might gross you out the first time you deal with it. So it's totally fine though. These things can look super weird. They can leave globs of stuff in your kombucha. I've seen very weird stuff. I've never been sick or been hurt from drinking kombucha, and I've never had any of my family or friends who've tasted kombucha or drank it been sick. So again, you're gonna have a little part. See, like this is what's grown. Yeah, see that? So this is what's grown over the week or 2 weeks that you're brewing the kombucha in there. So again, this can be composted. You can actually even dry it out and like feed it to your chickens or anything like that. So again, that's gonna go in our compost bowl there. So what you're gonna do is your SCOBY always needs a little bit of tea from the brew before in the next brew. So what I do is I take my SCOBYs out, I put them in these, just a bowl, and I take a little bit of brew and I just kind of cover it. Take a plate, put my plate on top, and I move this out of the way because we're not gonna really, that's all you gotta do for the SCOBY for right now. Next, we're gonna prepare our bottles before we put our brew in here. So we're gonna do 2 things first. We're gonna take our funnel, and we're gonna take our tablespoon, and we're gonna take our sugar. All right, and all we're gonna do is we're gonna do a tablespoon of sugar in each bottle. Now this may seem like a lot of sugar, but just so you know, you're gonna brew these, second brew, in these bottles for about 4 or 5 days, depending on what the temperature is outside. If it's a little colder, it can go a little longer. If it's a little warmer, it'll be a little quicker. And that, the sugar that we're putting in here right now, it will actually be, not all of it, but a lot of it will be fed upon or eaten by the bacteria that's still in this tea, the probiotics and stuff like that. So although you took the SCOBY out, That's the magic of brewing kombucha, is you get the probiotics, you get the good bacteria in the kombucha. That's what makes it carbonated, that's what makes it good for you. And so that bacteria will feed on this sugar for the 4 or 5 days, and that's what's going to give you that extra carbonation in your kombucha. Really good. Really good. It's actually replaced soda entirely for me. I haven't had a soda in years, and I credit it to the kombucha. I feel like it gives you that effervescence, or that the carbonation, you know, that if you drink a lot of soda or you drink a lot of carbonated drinks, you kind of want that carbonation, you know, you get a little hankering for it or whatever. This stuff can quiet that hankering, help you not drink as much soda or just totally get off it, because we all know that stuff's not very good. So we put our sugar in here. Now we're just gonna put our ginger. There's really no amount of measurement with the ginger or anything like that. I honestly cut up the most that I have, and I'll just divvy it out between the 6 or 12 bottles, whatever. How, you know, if I'm doing a double batch, then I'm going to do 12. If I'm doing a single batch, it's only going to be 6 bottles, of course. So, but yeah, I divvy it out. I like a lot of ginger in the kombucha. I think it gives it a really good taste. And now we will do our first 6 bottles. I just kind of like to put mine in the sink here. Got our water coming to a boil over there. We'll take care of that. But yeah, look at that. Oh, look at that beautiful head there. Almost like a beer, but it's not. It's kombucha. Beautiful. And kombucha will have a little alcohol in it. They sell it at stores over the counter and over the counter. And your kombucha at home will probably have generally about the same amount of alcohol content. It doesn't, you know, make you drunk or anything. I like to also wash out, you know, these gallon things when just give them a little rinse out. Nothing, no soap or anything. You don't really want to use soap for any of this stuff. Keep it out water, just wash it out. Keep everything kosher here. You want to get it as close to the top as you can. Carbonation is going to come down a little bit, so we're going to make a second pass at these. The reason you want to get as close to the top as you can is because the more oxygen, or the more space you have, which can affect the carbonation, the final product. The key is you don't want, so again, it's going to be kind of hard to see on the camera, but this thing is like at the very top, right? You don't want it right there, because when you put the top on, this red thing is going to be in the kombucha, and that can also affect your carbonation, the taste. So what I do, I just take my pinky and I stick it right in the top, and it pushes some of the kombucha out, and it gives me just enough space so the top doesn't touch the kombucha, because you don't want the top of the bottle touching your kombucha. Again, it's not the end of the world. It's not going to make it bad. It's not going to make it whatever. It might just cause it to not be as carbonated, or it might just cause it to not taste as good or whatever. And especially when you're making kombucha the first time, the process can be a little weird. Like I said, the SCOBY's a little weird. It's a little slimy. We're going to take these and we're just going to put them in a dark spot. Okay, so I just put them up in my cabinet here where I place them. So yeah, done with the second brew. Again, just did the same thing. I took the SCOBY out and put it in a bowl, covered it with some of the previous brew. Here's what grew on the other one. You know, they can get pretty thick depending on how long you leave them in there. And look, you can dry those out, or no, I mean not dry those out. You can put those in a baggie with some kombucha brew, and you can give those to your friends, give them to whoever. Basically, they'll stay in that brew pretty long. You can also dry them out and give them to people. That's sometimes harder to get them started again. So if you're giving it to somebody just like, then I would just put it in a baggie, put some brew in there, and just give it to them. They'll basically have to start their own brew, like I'm about to show you guys right now. And you can also reproduce yours. So like for us, we do 4 of these 1 gallon jars. So I do 2 at a time every week. We drink a lot of kombucha. So you can do that. It saves you a lot of, not a lot of money. SCOBYs aren't super expensive, but it'll save you some money. Wash that out again. Yeah, it's a great way just to give stuff to your friends and to get them started on kombucha too. It scratches that carbonation itch. And yeah, it can help you drink less soda. All right, so we got our SCOBYs over here. We got our bottles done. So our bottles are going to be in the cabinet. And now we're going to prepare our tea for SCOBY to go back in. So what we're gonna do, and this is what you'll do, so if you receive a SCOBY in the mail, right, you want to start doing kombucha, and you go online, you buy a SCOBY. Usually what they're gonna send you is a SCOBY in a bag with a little bit of tea brew. It's probably gonna have instructions with it, which is fine, just you can follow the instructions if they're different than what I'm about to tell you right here, but this is just how we did it, how we've done it. So it's going to be a little bit different because these are already established SCOBYs. When you get a new SCOBY, you're going to want to half almost everything. So this is what we do. We take about a cup of sugar, pour that in your, again, these are gallon just jars, okay? So you're going to do a cup, and then, okay, so I skipped this when I was doing the other brew, but our water came to a boil. We're going to put our black tea in our tea brewing device, whatever you use. You can use tea bags, you can use whatever you want, but basically I did about 6 teaspoons, so this is a teaspoon. I did about 6 teaspoons of black tea in my tea holder. Again, I'm doing a double batch, so you can do less. The black tea taste is kind of masked by the ginger, so don't fret if you put in more black tea or you put in less. Even if you put in 2 scoops, it's still gonna give you a lighter black tea flavor, almost like an iced tea or something like that. So kombucha is not exact science. Nothing that I'm doing here is really exact, other than like the amounts of sugar that you put in and stuff like that. I mean, you do want at least like a half cup or a cup of sugar in your brew, and you want a little sugar in your bottles because that's what the kombucha feeds off of. That's what the SCOBY feeds off of. That's how it stays alive. That's how it produces carbonation and all that different stuff. So again, it probably wouldn't die if you forgot to put sugar in or something like that, but it just wouldn't make kombucha. It wouldn't, give you the carbonation and all that other stuff. So timer went off, again, 10 minutes on the tea. You can do longer, but it might make your tea bitter. If you brew tea a certain way, you can brew it that way. Put this off the side. Again, you can let that dry, you can compost that black tea. Mostly everything that you're going to use here, you can compost, which is great. No waste. Put our sugar up. Pretty much done with that. So what I do is I just take these guys, again, put them in the sink, your black tea, and pour it in here. You're going to want to fill it almost to the top, but not really, because you're going to still have to leave room for your SCOBY and that little excess kombucha that you kept back. But here we go. So black tea in your things. We're gonna grab a spoon. If it can be wood, that's great. If it can't, it's not the end of the world. So you just want to stir it, get the sugar to dissolve. So when you guys first get a SCOBY, you'll get to skip all the hard part. Basically, all you're gonna do is you're gonna receive the SCOBY in the mail. It's gonna usually come again with the SCOBY, a little bit of kombucha with it, some of the brewed tea that person had been brewing it in. And all you're gonna do is you're gonna brew your tea, your black tea, you're gonna get it brewing, and you're gonna get your container that you're gonna keep your SCOBY in. You're gonna get a paper towel, and you're gonna get a rubber band. And that's all you're pretty much gonna do. All you're gonna do is you're gonna brew the tea. You're gonna wanna half this, okay? Because when you first get the SCOBY, it's stressed, okay? It's gone through the mail, it's taken from its home, like it's not fully capable when you first get it. You don't want to stress it out by putting it in a big gallon jar for it to make a gallon of kombucha, because that will stress it out even more and it won't make very good kombucha. Your first brew, most people don't even drink it because it's just doesn't taste that good. So a lot of times you're just going to get a real vinegary product at the end on your first brew, and a lot of people think that's what kombucha is and then they stop right there. No, that's not it. That's just your SCOBY getting acclimated to its new environment. And once it does, it'll make kombucha that tastes way different than sometimes even the second brew. Like, don't give up, okay? Let it play out, let it get acclimated in its new environment, let it, live and flourish, okay? But anyways, you're gonna brew your tea. You're going to half this. So you're only gonna have a half gallon of tea. You're only gonna have about a half cup of sugar, okay? And you're going to do the same thing that we're about to do right here. Because this is super hot, obviously, you're not going to want to put your SCOBY in it right now. That's why we put our SCOBY in the bowls with some of the kombucha, okay? What we're going to do is we're just going to take these. I just put them right next to the kombucha over here. Just sitting on my counter over here off camera. Basically, I let these sit overnight. I let everything sit overnight. So I just let that sit overnight. I let it cool. I take my paper towels and I just put them on top of the jars so no bugs get in them. And look, here, let me show you guys something too real quick. You can just use paper towels. You can use 2 paper towels and you can use a rubber band, you can use a hair tie, it doesn't matter. Kombucha's super easy, you can do it really, really cheap. Delicious. All right, cool. That's about it. So, like I said, you're gonna let that cool overnight. When that cools overnight, you'll put the you just put the SCOBY in there. You know, pour the kombucha in. Put your paper towel on top. You put your rubber band. Again, put it somewhere dark. We just keep ours in this cabinet back here. Here's one of the other 2. Boom. Leave it alone. You don't gotta do anything to it. All right, that's it. Put the SCOBY in. But you see how big it is? And then just rotate them. I bring the 2 to the front, put the 2 in the back. Then I know which ones are the newest, which ones are the oldest. Usually, after I put those in the cabinet, I'll brew them in there for about a week and a half maybe. If I start getting into 2 weeks, in our family we just say it gets kombucha. I don't even know what to call it. It's just very kombucha, and some people don't like that. We still drink it. It's not unsafe. It's not, you know, bad for you or anything like that. About a week and a half. That's where you want it. That's the spot. These brew for about 4 or 5 days. Again, it depends on the temperature in your house. If it's hotter during the summer, they can go 3 days. But what I do is I'll at the 3rd or 4th day, I'll take one out and I'll just test it. So if we're gonna drink it that morning, I'll just open it, pour it out. But anyways, about 4 to 5 days in the cabinet. And then once you test one, you get the carbonation that you want, put them in the fridge. Once you put them in the fridge, that's gonna stop all the processes. So it's gonna stop the carbonation, it's gonna stop the fermentation, it's gonna stop that stuff. And so it's going to lock in that carbonation that you created with the kombucha. It's going to lock it in. It's really cool. It almost like it infuses it into the kombucha. It's very good. It's going to taste even a little bit different, a little bit better, in my opinion, at least once it goes overnight in the fridge. Once it goes overnight in the fridge, it infuses the carbonation. It's really good. I want to show you guys real quick what we do. So this is cooled all night. Remember, you want it completely cooled. We have our SCOBY here with our extra brew that we put in, and all you're gonna do is slide it in. Okay, so here's what I want to show you guys. I put the SCOBY in, and the tea is almost to the top there. So if you have that problem, you want to pour some of your tea out, because you don't want it to overflow. So I have a little booch left, but I'm gonna just drink that. The tip here is that here, guys, you don't want to fill this thing all the way up to the top when you fill your container. So whatever container you have, leave a little space at the top, because sometimes your SCOBY can stick out of the top if it turns sideways or just if it bulbs out of the top. Again, 4 dogs, lots of hair. So leave a little space, because that way when you put your covering on, whether it be cheesecloth, paper towel, you just need something porous on the top. That way the SCOBY won't touch the top. All right, and I've already pulled my other 2 out. These are our other 2 here, and that's it. It's been in the bottles in the cabinet for probably about 7 days. Depending on the temperature, these things can do a second brew for almost a week sometimes. So it's been really cold here. We've tested a few. This is the 3rd one we're testing. This is about 7 days in, and this one should be pretty well carbonated. So I'm going to show you guys how we open it and don't waste a bunch of kombucha. All right, we're here at the sink, and I'm going to show you guys how we open our kombucha bottles. So again, they have the pop top here. What I do is I just grab it like this with my 2 fingers over it, and this is so you're gonna slowly open it, and then you're gonna slowly, see how carbonated it is? Look at it, yeah, see? So if you were just to open this, you would lose all this kombucha. So you just kind of let it spew out into the cup, and then boom, look at that. Look at this, look at that beautiful kombucha. And that's it, guys, enjoy. So this is how we open the kombucha to save the most that we can. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for joining us here on Awhile to Homesteading. I'm Rob. See you next time.